So Tony Ferguson wins $100,000. Merry Christmas to him. What else? We got this slim pickings here tonight, man. Guys all went to the hospital. Pierce went to get his arm looked at. Ferguson went to get a CT scan. And Chad Mendes walked right out the door after his drug test. So this is it.
Well, we knew Ferguson went to the hospital. Do you have any updates yet, or is it still too soon?
Any updates on what?
On Ferguson's condition? We heard
no. And if I told you, it'd probably be wrong anyway, and I'd have to go back and tell you tomorrow I was wrong. So we'll see what they're at the hospital. We'll see how it goes. I'm hoping everybody's okay.
Fair enough. Quick question on The Ultimate Fighter. Obviously, we had the surprise ending, losing a finalist. Can you clarify what happened there? We saw you on the show saying he lied on his visa application. Is there any more insight that you can offer? And could we see him fight in the UFC, or have you guys parted ways?
Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, he lied. He lied on his application, or his the stuff that you have to fill out for the athletic commission, and it's not good.
Is he no longer under contract right now?
I don't think so. I don't know. I don't know the answers to these questions that you are asking me right now.
Fair enough. And, of course, we've got a big title fight tomorrow. Rematches could slow things down, but after a performance like that, Frankie Edgar, #1 contender?
Let me tell you what. Me and probably everybody in here thought this fight was going to go down where Chad Mendes was dropping bombs in the first round, chasing Frankie around, trying to knock him out, and Frankie would try to wear him out and, gas him into the later rounds. Frankie went right in there and started trading with him and knocked out a guy who has a great chin and is a great wrestler and has big power. So nobody can deny Frankie anymore. He looked amazing tonight, and he'll get whatever he wants.
Very nice. Frankie, obviously, probably one of the best wins of your career. I mean, I know you've been a part of a lot of big fights, but an excellent performance by you. Where does this rank, and did you ever envision a way that you could win this with a first-round knockout?
Yeah, I always prepare for battles. I always get my mind right that I'm going to walk away with a bloody nose and stitches, and that's just how I like to prepare. I mean, just to mentally get right. But it was nice to walk out of there unscathed and with a KO, especially because everyone was talking about Chad's power. And, of course, it was something I had to worry about. But like I said, I got a little juice, too.
I asked you before the fight, if you had a preference, whether you'd face Aldo or McGregor, so you had something to worry about. But now that you've got a win, you're in that driver's seat. Is there a guy, whether it be because you think your style matches up right with him or because it's a guy that you'd rather fight, is there one that you would really prefer to fight?
It really isn't. I look at it like, Aldo, I'd be nice to take it from Aldo, since he's had been on top so long, and we had that close fight, and he got the W. But then again, McGregor's the big money fight. So for me, it's win-win, either one.
And last thing for you there, certainly there are scenarios where those guys could fight twice, close fight, whatever it may be. If that happens, Dana said you get what you want. Could you see yourself sitting around 10 months, 11 months, a year waiting for that fight, or at that time do you think you'd have to stay busy?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't want to sit around for nothing, but I'm not making any decisions till I know what's going on.
Frankie, can you explain a little bit about you were a little more pissed off before this fight than you normally are, that you hadn't gotten it. Talk about what angered you and got you to that point where, you were saying, hey, I'm not getting the kind of push that other guys are and that type of thing.
I know the answer to that question.
No, I just feel like I've been knocking on this door for this title shot for a while, and Dana never told me if I won a fight I was going to get it, but, I know he told some other guys if they beat me, they were going to get it. So I assumed if I beat them, MMA math, I should get it, right? But I know if I just kept putting myself in this position, I couldn't be denied, and here I am. I got it.
And did you, when you weren't getting it, I mean, like, how did you react to it? Like, was your feeling like, hey, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to be even better just to prove Dana wrong? Was that sort of what your mindset was?
It's tough to do. You can't. I just want to be better just because I'm in the gym all the time getting better. I want to be better because my coaches make me better. But yeah, I mean that's just going to be the effect of working that hard. I'm going to be better in there. I'm going to prove Dana that I deserve it.
Dana, and why did it take so long when, he was looking so good in these fights? And like you said, hey, if Cub Swanson wins it, he would get it or whatever the case may be. And this was a guy that was a former champion, a Hall of Fame type fighter. And what was it that took so long? Was it the rise of McGregor the way he did?
Well, and sometimes you got to go out and you got to put the stamp on it, man. He put the stamp on it tonight. You know what I mean? We had the fight in the Philippines. That thing wasn't a barn burner, you know. And I wanted Frankie to take this fight with Chad, and he put the stamp on it tonight. You cannot be denied. He went in there and looked spectacular, and I guarantee he's got people buzzing right now. People are interested. People want to see it.
Question for Frankie. You told me before the fight, you said that if you won tonight, you would ask Dana for a ticket, want to be sitting front row tomorrow night. Is that the plan now?
Yeah, I mean, I got the ticket before the fight, so it worked out anyway, you know. But yeah, I'm going to be there for sure.
You know, obviously, you wanted to make a statement in this fight. You made a big statement in this fight. Do you think you did send a message to both Aldo and McGregor? I mean, obviously they're focused on their fight, but they can't ignore what just happened, that, you know, you are the guy. I mean, whoever wins that fight, they got to be looking over their shoulder.
Yeah, I think they knew I was coming, you know, and now I just solidified it, you know, and no matter what happens, I'll be knocking on that door and they're going to answer it and they're going to see me because I'm coming for that title.
Question for Ryan Hall. Ryan, you were just over in Ireland like a few weeks back training. Was it? I mean, obviously you accepted the fight with no hesitation, but just kind of your impression, because I talked to Artem and he said that you were literally teaching him heel hook defense when you were over there, and here you are trying to submit him, 2 weeks later.
I definitely was over in Ireland. I had a great time training there. John Kavanagh, the guys over there, Owen Roddy, Artem himself, are all people I have a great deal of respect for, and I actually had a fantastic time training with them. I think it made the fight a little bit more interesting than it might have otherwise been, even though the fight wouldn't have otherwise been, I guess, had it not been, for Saul dropping out. But, I think we probably had a little bit more insight into one another than we would have otherwise. But, at the end of the day, I came from jiu-jitsu where you compete against people, at a high level all the time, and you run in, same circles. So really, the fact that there was a pre-existing relationship there, I don't think it was terribly strange, from a competitive perspective. But Artem is just a tough and dangerous guy, and, I don't credit the fact that he was able to stop, from being a finished tonight to me or anything like that. It was just that he's, he's well coached and he's a tough athlete, but. It was definitely an interesting experience. I think that we both had a little bit of an idea what the other was looking for. But again, he came out southpaw knowing that I know that he likes to fight open side against no matter, against any opponent. It was interesting. I was glad to face a tough challenge.
Were you shocked in that first round when you had that rear naked choke on that he didn't go out? I mean, it looked like I thought he was out for a second, and then obviously he was able to slip out. Were you shocked that he was able to survive that?
I'll be honest, then. Artem is one of the toughest things on 2 feet that I've come across. So I wasn't shocked that he was able to gut it out. I never had it fully locked, and his face was down, and we were in his corner, so I wasn't able to point him towards Faraz or Eamon or Ray and say, hey, guys, how's things going? I just wanted to stick with the positional control that I had, and the fact that he was able to gut it out was honestly not surprising. I heard that his face is a little bit purple, but Artem's the kind of guy that either goes to sleep or does not tap at all. So, looking back, that wasn't shocking at all. I just wanted to make sure that I controlled the round and made sure that I got into the second without having noodle arms.
And a question for Evan Dunham. Evan, I'm always brought back, when I see a great performance from you, I always remember that Sean Shirk fight, which, I think most people still believe to this day you got robbed, and that may have been a number one contenders fight. You've had some ups and downs, but do you feel like now, because you look better than ever tonight, that you are getting back to where you were at that point? It feels like you are, you should look great against Ross Pearson now tonight. Do you feel like you are getting back into that top 10, top 5 form you were just a couple years ago?
Yeah, that's the goal. I definitely coming into my own a little bit more as, a more developed fighter. So, I think I'm right there, trying to get those spots. So just keep doing what I'm doing, and I'm sure I'll get there.
Question for Frankie Edgar. Frankie, we've seen you finish fights in a lot of different ways throughout your UFC career, and we've seen you TKO some high-profile opponents like BJ Penn, like Gray Maynard. The one thing we haven't seen you do in the UFC, though, those tended to be cumulative effects over multiple rounds. The one thing that we hadn't seen you do yet was a very early one-punch, two-punch knockout like we got tonight. Do you think this was the perfect time to pull that out of your back pocket, create a highlight reel moment to potentially market a title fight for the featherweight title?
Yeah, absolutely. With everything on the line and, the title being up for grabs and this weekend that as big of fights that we're having this weekend, I knew I had to stand out, and it couldn't happen at a better time with a big KO.
Question for Ryan Hall. Ryan, were you surprised at Artem's inactivity when he was in your guard? Obviously, you were dominating him with your jiu-jitsu, but it seemed like even when he had top position, he was not having a lot of luck even trying to break your guard or to throw elbows or punches?
I think that both of us had a clear path to victory. Obviously on the feet, his job was to get in there and land shots that would have my face looking different than it does right now. And, my job was to try to maintain distance and then close the gap safely when I could. Coming from the jiu-jitsu background that I do, I'm very comfortable with people trying to hit me. And I think that, I think that maybe he was aware of that. The more that people swing on you, the more openings there are. So definitely he could have caused some damage, but I think that might have opened him up in a way that he didn't open up during the fight. I think it was a calculated risk on his part, potentially giving up, time in the round to hopefully stand back up and take my head off, and fortunately it worked out for me.
And Dana, if I could follow up with you on that question. Obviously, the bar for the Ultimate Fighter was set very high and very early by Griffin and Bonner. We're not going to get that every season. But is it still satisfying to you when we get a fight like tonight, which was not close, it wasn't competitive, but we clearly got a winner who belongs in the UFC? Is that a close second to you in terms of satisfaction as a promoter?
I don't really. What are you asking me?
Well, obviously, you'd like to have Griffin and Bonner every season. But if you have a fight like this
So
tonight...
you're saying this fight was shitty and
No.
Bonner Griffin was awesome and this one isn't that, but we got a guy who... Listen. At the end, I'll tell you what, if any of you saw what I tweeted after that fight, what drove me crazy was that Herb Dean let him stay on his back for the last 3 minutes standing. No damage is being done. Nobody is really advancing their position. And this is for everything. This is for the Ultimate Fighter. You know what I mean? Stand it back up. And I think Herb, who I think is one of the best, I think he didn't do his best tonight. And then I saw a lot of people talking about, negatively about him. One of the things about this kid is, with his jiu-jitsu, it's so sick and at such a high level. You haven't seen a guy who can go in and just slide in and take the leg. You try to step over the other side. You're in his guard. You try to step to the other side. He gets the leg, and he goes from one thing to another to the back. And even though he didn't get the submission, if he'd have pulled off one of those submissions, people wouldn't be bitching about it, which is one of the reasons that I think that Herb should have allowed them to fight for the last 3 minutes. There was no fighting the last 3 minutes of the fight. That's irritating, and that I think that leaves a bad taste in everybody's mouth. But every season we're going to bring guys in, and weird things happen on the show every time. This kid got an opportunity, and he took it. He took it, and he won. That's what it's all about.
Let me ask you, Dana, one more question, this time about Tony Ferguson, since he's not here. He said in his post-fight comments, a fantastic performance, he said he either wanted the number 5 fighter or a title shot. Michael Johnson is booked at the moment, but does that general direction for him make sense for you? Is that what you're envisioning for him?
No doubt. Much like Frankie Edgar, Tony Ferguson looked incredible tonight, and so did Edson Barboza. And much respect to Edson Barboza for taking that kick to the face, illegal kick to the face, and then continued. A lot of guys would have quit with that, and would have won the fight. He continued to fight, and both guys looked amazing. Even after the kick to the face, Edson was rocked, and he landed nasty shots to the body, kicks to the legs, punches to the head. It was just, that fight was one of the best fights of the year.
And lastly, for Evan Dunham, Evan, we saw a pretty impressive, to say the least, striking performance from you tonight. I think you threw over 300 strikes, landed about half of them. So, not only are you on this 3-fight win streak, but later in your career, you're really showing an evolution as a striker. What do you attribute that to? What's been going on with your striking game recently that's created that progress?
I have a new coach, Chaz Mookley. I've been working a lot with. I've been sparring a lot less, so I take a lot less damage, and so my body's a lot more healthier, and I've been working on a lot of mobility stuff, and so I'm able to move, as opposed to always taking beatings in the gym and, not able to move because my body's hurt. So it's been a lot more recovery and just working on the fundamentals, so that's pretty much what I attribute it to.
Thanks.
Question for Dane over here, other side, right here.
I can't see in the
All right,
lights
well,
anyway.
it doesn't
it's
matter.
Bad. Oh, I see. All right.
Yeah. It wasn't that long ago when Edgar was defending his 155-pound title. You were talking about him being the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, but you still wanted him. I think wanted him to move down at some point
Right.
to a more of a natural. Now that he's doing this, how do you feel about that? Like, where do you rank him in that?
Awesome. I love him here. You know, Frankie's got a ton of heart, a great chin, and he just keeps coming forward, man. He's a dog. And, you know, I hated seeing him in those 155-pound fights. He was just too small. And, you know, being here, you know, Frankie Edgar's been around for a long time. How long have you been in the UFC now? 9 years. Guy's been here for 9 years. It was a world champion at 155, and now he's in line for another title, man.
And for Frankie, basically same thing. I know you were sort of reluctant, but it seems like there's been a big migration with Conor there now and everything. There's a lot of talent basically in the division. Are you happy to be there and in this spot? And how does it feel different from where you were at 155?
Yeah, I'm definitely happy. You know, I think our division is the most talked about division, you know, in the UFC right now. And you know, I credit that to Conor and the way he promotes himself and talks bad about everyone else. You know, it makes people want to watch us fight. Either we watch him win or watch him lose, whatever it may be. But yeah, you know, I guess it was definitely a different landscape than it was at 55 when I was there. You know, BJ was the man. I kind of came in and kind of, you know, juggled that division up, and you know, but I'm happy where I'm at right now for sure.
A question for Ryan. Have you, to your left, have you decided where you will train for your next fight now?
I spend most of my time training in 50-50 Jiu-Jitsu, my academy in Northern Virginia, right outside of Washington, D.C. But, you know, I trained at TriStar for this one. I had to spend a little bit of time at SBG as well. I had a great time there. But, you know, and I spent a lot of time at Upstate Karate in South Carolina, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson's the gym he trains out of. And, you know, I always bounce around a little bit, but, you know, TriStar has been the team that I've been with from the start. And, you know, the Thompson family has helped me immensely as well. So really, I feel like I've got a great group of people that I work with.
Do you foresee going back to SBG?
You know, honestly, I've always gotten around and trained quite a bit. You know, I think that comes from just habits from jiu-jitsu. And Gunny Nelson is someone that I've always, you know, trained with and someone that I respect a great deal. I was actually over at Mjolnir in Iceland earlier this year. So, you know, I've always maintained a lot of autonomy when it comes to training here and there, and I don't envision that stopping, no.
And for Dana, usually when one season of The Ultimate Fighter ends, we have some sort of idea what's coming next. Is there anything you could tell us about season 23?
Tryouts are Sunday, so tryouts are on Sunday and Monday. Tryouts are on Monday.
As far as coaches.
Thank you.
As far as coaches.
Did we announce the coaches?
No, I'm asking you. You can announce them right now if you want.
We didn't announce it yet.
Usually you're the one to announce
Oh,
things.
I do?
Yes. Not right now?
No.
Okay.
I don't know if we can we announce it? No.
It's a big
I
it's a
can't
big
announce it.
weekend.
Dave
There's
Schaller said no.
All right. And just a question for Frankie. I can't really see what you're doing over there. I think you're looking at your phone. Is that it? You're not looking at it? You just have a big smile on your face looking down, so I'm wondering what, like, you just seem to be the happiest man in Las Vegas. Is it the feedback coming in? What's going through your mind right now?
Yeah, I'm just I'm heading back to New Jersey, man. Got a lot of love back home. Just people texting me, just a lot of texts, just getting back to them.
All right. Thank you.
He's bored with this press conference. Do we have any more?
Yes, question
I'll
for
do
Dana
one
White.
more. Yes, sir.
Where does Chad Mendes go from this? Because, you know, he took the Conor McGregor fight short notice, came up short, and, you know, got defeated there, and now he gets another pretty big loss. Where do you see him going? I mean, will he ever
If you
fight for a
look, I
title?
think he's got 3 losses. He lost to Jose Aldo, who hasn't lost in 10 years. He lost to Conor McGregor, took that fight on short notice, and Conor's one of the best guys in the world, and he just lost to the #1 guy in the world. It doesn't really put him in a horrible place other than the fact that he lost 3 in a row, and I'm sure he's not happy about that. You know, he's got to get back in the gym, figure some things out, and come back.
And we were hoping you could maybe clarify something, because there were some rumors flying around. You mentioned Saul's visa issues. There were some rumors that maybe either David Tamer or Martin Svensson would compete at the tough finale, but that there were some visa issues there as well. Is there any truth to those rumors?
I don't think so. No, the first guy I think we went after was him.
But I mean on the preliminary card, because usually there's
Again, questions I don't know the answers to.
Okay.
I don't have no idea.
Is there any at all possibility that we see one of the Swedish fighters competing in the UFC in the future?
Yeah, possibly. Yeah.
Maybe London?
And maybe. I don't know. I don't know the answers.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
I've got one more for you, Dana.
All right.
Big show tomorrow. Big show tomorrow. It takes you back to UFC 189. That was a huge show as well. The staging was something a little bit special back then. What have you got special planned for tomorrow night in terms of fighter entrances and things like that? Have we got anything special to look forward to tomorrow night, other than the fights themselves?
I'll blow the suspense. We don't have any acts playing tomorrow or anything like that. There's some new things that we're doing as far as production goes, but no music. No.
All right, great
It'll
stuff.
be the standard.
That'll do.
Yeah.
Great
Cool.
stuff. Thank you.
All right. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you tomorrow.